Have you ever stood in a moonlit garden and wondered why it looks so lush and alive under the night sky? There's an enigma, a certain mystery that dwells in these gardens, a secret as old as time itself. It's an ancient practice that traces its roots back to folklore and agricultural traditions around the world. It's called moon gardening, an intriguing method that aligns the cycle of planting, pruning, and harvesting with the lunar calendar. Let's delve into the ancient secret of moon gardening and see how it can transform your garden. Moon gardening is no modern-day fad. It has its roots deep in folklore and agricultural practices across different cultures. Indeed, this ancient practice is as old as agriculture itself. From the Celts of ancient Britain to the Maoris of New Zealand, people have long observed the moon's phases to guide their planting and harvesting. In the annals of history, you'll find the moon revered as a symbol of fertility and abundance. Its cyclical nature, waxing and waning through the month, mirrored the cycle of life on Earth. As such, it was only natural for our ancestors to look to the moon for guidance in sowing seeds and reaping crops. Various cultures developed their own lunar calendars, with each phase of the moon holding specific significance. The new moon, for instance, was seen as a time of growth and renewal, perfect for planting seeds and new beginnings. The full moon, on the other hand, signaled a time of fruition and harvest. Even today, this ancient wisdom lives on in the practices of many gardeners and farmers worldwide. They swear by the lunar calendar, aligning their gardening activities with the moon's phases to reap a bountiful harvest. So, moon gardening is not just a whimsical idea born out of folklore, it's a time-tested practice, backed by generations of gardeners who have harnessed the moon's influence to nurture their gardens. Now that we have a grasp on its history, let's understand the science behind moon gardening. The moon's gravitational pull doesn't just affect the tides, it has a profound impact on plant life too. Have you ever wondered how? Let's delve into the science of it all. Just as the moon's gravitational pull creates high and low tides in the ocean, it also affects the water content in the soil. When the moon is full or new, its gravitational force is at its peak. This causes an increase in groundwater levels, which can stimulate seed germination and plant growth. Now imagine a seed in the ground. It's wrapped in a shell, waiting for the right conditions to start sprouting. The increased moisture in the soil during the full and new moon phases softens the seed's outer shell, making it easier for the seedling to break through. This is why many gardeners find that seeds planted during these phases germinate more quickly and produce healthier plants. But the moon's influence doesn't stop there. Its gravitational pull also affects the flow of sap in plants. During the waxing or growing phase of the moon, when the light of the moon is increasing, the gravitational pull is strongest. This upward force stimulates leaf and shoot growth, making it an excellent time to plant crops that grow above ground. On the other hand, during the waning or decreasing phase of the moon, the gravitational pull is weaker, causing the sap to flow downward. This is the perfect time to plant root crops and bulbs, as the energy of the plant is focused below ground. In essence, the moon's gravitational pull creates a natural rhythm in the garden, influencing when plants grow, how they grow, and how well they grow. It's a dance choreographed by the forces of nature, with the moon leading the way. So, how can you harness the power of the lunar cycle in your garden? Let's find out. Aligning your gardening activities with the lunar calendar isn't as complicated as it sounds. In fact, it's a rhythm that, once understood, can add depth and wonder to your gardening routine. Let's delve into the how-tos of moon gardening. First, it's all about understanding the lunar phases. There are 4 main phases to consider: the new moon, the first quarter, the full moon, and the last quarter. Each of these phases affects plant life in unique ways, and aligning your gardening activities with them can encourage healthy plant growth. During the new moon phase, the gravitational pull is high, and there's an increase in moisture content in the soil. This is an excellent time for planting above-ground leafy annuals and grains. These are plants that produce their seeds outside the fruit. Think lettuce, spinach, cabbage, and cereals. As we transition to the first quarter, the gravitational pull is less, but moonlight is increasing, creating balanced root and leaf growth. This phase is good for crops that have seeds inside the fruit, such as tomatoes, beans, and peppers. When the full moon phase arrives, we're seeing a decrease in moonlight, but the gravitational pull is high. This is a prime time for planting root crops and perennials, plants that live for more than 2 years. Consider beets, carrots, onions, and potatoes, as well as fruit trees and asparagus. Finally, during the last quarter phase, it's a period of decreased gravitational pull and moonlight. This is a resting period. It's the time to do your pruning, mowing, weeding, and composting. You might be wondering, but how do I know which phase the moon is in? Well, there are many moon calendars and apps available that can guide you. These tools can help you plan your gardening activities in accordance with the lunar phases. So, let's recap. The new moon phase is for leafy annuals and grains. The first quarter phase is for crops with seeds inside the fruit. The full moon phase is for root crops and perennials. And the last quarter phase is a resting period for your garden. Now, it's important to note that moon gardening does not disregard the importance of seasons and local weather conditions. These factors still play a crucial role in the success of your garden. Moon gardening is an additional layer, a guide to optimize your gardening activities. Embracing moon gardening is more than just a method. It's a connection with nature's rhythm, an ancient practice that brings us closer to the cosmos's influence on life. It's about understanding that we, along with our gardens, are part of a larger, interconnected system. The benefits of moon gardening extend beyond just a lush garden. Let's hear it from those who've experienced it. Gardeners who have adopted moon gardening swear by its benefits. Let's hear their stories. First up, meet Jennifer from Oregon. She tells us, "Before moon gardening, my blooms were sparse and lackluster, but now they are vibrant and plentiful. It's like my garden has come alive under the moonlight. I couldn't believe it until I saw it with my own eyes." Next, we have Tom from sunny California. He shares, "I was skeptical at first, planting by the moon, but I decided to give it a go. The result was astounding. My harvest was more bountiful than ever. I'm a moon gardener for life now." From across the pond in England, we have Rose. She says, "Moon gardening has brought a certain rhythm to my gardening. It's as if I'm dancing with nature, in sync with the lunar cycle. My roses have never been happier." And lastly, from the heartland of America, Kansas, is John. He tells us, "I've seen a noticeable improvement in the health of my crops since I started moon gardening. It's like they've been supercharged by the moon. It's truly remarkable." As you can see, the testimonials are as diverse as they are compelling. These gardeners and many others worldwide have embraced the lunar cycle in their gardening practices and have reaped the rewards. Now that you've seen the magic of moon gardening, are you ready to give it a try? The moon has guided farmers and gardeners for centuries, and now it's your turn to join the lunar guided journey. Remember, aligning your gardening activities with the lunar calendar can lead to a thriving garden. From seed germination to soil moisture, the moon's gravitational pull influences it all. So why not harness this natural phenomenon? Embrace the lunar cycle in your garden and watch it flourish. Subscribe for more gardening tips and mysteries. Until then, happy gardening under the moonlight.